Be nasty today.
Welcome back, everybody, as we get set for another big week here on Track Talk. Steve Kaplowitz with you, and I am joined, as always, by the voice of Sunland Park Racetrack and Casino, the one and only Eric Alwan. Last week, we previewed the season. Now we already have a week under our belt. Eric, good to have you back. And first off, great weather from Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Let's talk a little bit about some of the races, starting with that KLAQ Handicap that proved to be a little bit of a surprise when it was all said and done.
Thank you so much, Steve, and thank you and KLAQ and all the other stations for pushing us so strong. You know, it was kind of chilly last weekend, and boy, at the end, Sunday was kind of miserable weather, as a matter of fact. But the day you were out, you know, with Brad, it was a kind of a nice, chilly day, and we got to see some awesome thoroughbreds. I was really pleased with the depth of our thoroughbred colony here at Sunland, and we had a lot of fans out for a Friday. I guess a lot of people were still kind of off, but the KLAQ Handicap was one of the best ever. It was deep. You know, we thought that possibly Todd Fincher's horse was going to be the main danger in that race. Good with people, but he just couldn't keep up with all that speed. Goodbye Charlie was a surprise to me. He was in the 11 hole in the KLAQ, and he darted out to the lead. He was even quicker than the Minister of Soul, but it did in a way set up beautifully for Competitive Idea, who was patiently handled by his rider. And had so much left for the stretch run that he ran one of the greatest races of his career. And he's no stranger to winning stakes. He's got a whole ton of stakes wins in his background. Alfredo Wattis was his rider, but it proved to be a huge day for a powerful trainer in Flaco Kaplowitz, who I know is going to be one of the top ones here this season.
Well, that's right. And part of the fun when you talk about some of these early races is you never know what to truly expect until you see these horses right back on the track, right?
You never know. We did kind of know the Competitive Idea was going to be a threat because he had run here successfully. Just a beautiful race, though. The way that, you know, sometimes, Steve, you don't need to be looking at all the papers and the programs and all of the facts and figures. You can look at how a horse is warming up. You know, you can get a view of that if you're here, of course, and even if you're not, you can watch on the satellite simulcast feed. But the way Competitive Edge was just warming up so wonderfully, eagerly, he was giving you communications that said, bet me, bet me. He was feeling so good. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he paid 3.5 to 1, which in my book is a wonderful price.
Wow. What about Carina? Let's talk about that horse in the New Mexico State Racing Commission Handicap.
You know, in the annals of thoroughbred racing in New Mexico, obviously our star of all times in the female division, mind you, not in the males, but in the female division, Pepper's Pride. Well, she can never really be overmatched because she never got beat. She won 17 races. But I got to tell you, Steve, this Carina is durable and just beating the competition each and every time. And what made her performance even stronger to me was how poorly she broke. If you listen to my call, you could tell I feared for her because she spotted him 5 lengths away from the gate, dead last. But Tracy Hebert, her rider, was cool in the saddle. He didn't ask for a whole lot to try to gain that deficit quickly. He sort of meted it out. He calculated it out that Carina was still going to win, and she made this sustained run and went on by to win it, and win it handily in the end by over 1.5 lengths. And it was one of her greatest performances. You know, she's not really a speed demon, but she can turn it on. And 5.5 furlongs is not her best lick, but she made it look easy. She beat a horse called Lemon Drop Gold, who Todd Fincher has taken over training. And that horse ran too good to lose. It was a pretty good exactor when you think about it, because if you think Carina is unbeatable, you pretty much got to put her in the top spot, maybe over 2 horses. The other one being Belladonna. Belladonna was exhausted by the pace, and with Lemon Drop Gold in second, it paid $11. That's a pretty good payoff with with one of the greatest New Mexico bred females of all times on top.
Eric Alwan with us right now. It's Track Talk, our weekly look around Sunland Park Racetrack and Casino. So 2 days later, we got our first big race, the championship at Sunland Park. It's a grade 1. It's $350,000. And we're talking about a 440-yard sprint here on Sunday. And man, oh man, Flashback got it done. Let's talk about the ride from Flashback and how that championship went down on Sunday.
You know, I was talking to Tom Dawson, our legendary race historian, broadcaster, producer, kind of our consultant. He comes in on big days, and he said, you know, of all times, and it's a long amount of racing in the quarter horse business. We've been running quarter horse racing here for 64 years. It's probably the greatest collection of talent, even though it was just a 6-horse field. That field had already accumulated $7.5 million. And the top three, the big three in our mind, was KJ Desperado, the world's richest quarter horse with $3 million. Flashback, who's come on the scene like a juggernaut of late, with about a couple million to his earnings, and Impressum, who was near $2 million. So just those three alone, you know, had accumulated for the $7 million. When they broke, KJ Desperado just darted to the inside rail, and it was over for him at that point. Because at that level, Steve, even at 440 yards, if you make a mistake away from the gate, they're going to leave you in the dust. Especially horses like Flashback and Impressum, because they have multiple gears. Flashback wasn't on the lead, as it turned out. It was there was a long shot in there that did get a call from me. Impressum took the lead about the 220 mark, but then this magnificent kick from Flashback, who had just won the Champion of Champions, had just defeated KJ Desperado a couple months back at Albuquerque when I called him. He's the hottest horse in the world. And he makes this huge run and just goes sweeping on by Impressum to win by about a half a length. And it marked just another punctuation mark to one Francisco Calderon and one trainer, Heath Taylor, and even the owners, Valeriano Ranch. All three of those entities, Steve, were the leaders in the quarter horse world, money-wise, last year, especially Francisco Calderon. His horses earned $7 million last year, and he got off to a great start, you know, winning this race. But it's amazing how the light bulb is turned on with Flashback. He was always a great horse, but now he's a superior horse.
That's great news. And that just tells you. Yeah, I mean, that's what winning the championship can do for a horse, right?
Yeah, he really seems to kick into gear. Maybe it was a good thing there was only 6 head. There was very little likelihood that he would get bumped, and he broke good enough, and he stayed within range that his late kick could be served. And it was a great picture that our people at Cody Photography took. You can see the stride on that horse. I mean, it's just amazing. I had to pick up a physical copy of it. You see how low Francisco Calderon gets in the saddle? I mean, I've watched him for about 10, 12 years now. I used to support him a lot when he rode in Texas. But now, the way New Mexico is so powerful, he knew that he had to make the jump to the world-class league of New Mexico and, you know, the All-American Futurity, which he did win, I think, a couple of years ago. And now he's winning all these older big stakes races. He's just a fabulous rider. And I think, you know, certainly the #1 rider for quarter horses now.
Eric Alwan's the voice of Sunland Park Racetrack and Casino. He joins us every week here on Track Talk. So now racing resumes Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And as this Track Talk airs, we will be wrapping up the Thursday live racing with the 12:25 post time. But I noticed heading into this weekend, another big quarter horse race featured on Sunday. Give us a little bit of a preview of what to expect out at the track this weekend, Derek.
The Red or Green Stakes is a nice event that we've started a few years ago, devoted to the New Mexico bred quarter horses. And JJ Gonzalez III, who we've talked about before, he has 3 in the race, Steve, 3. And they all have big shots. One that I like is a horse called White Lightning. Pick Your Pores, another one. And there's a third entity to that triumvirate. And I think Francisco Calderon is going to be riding that horse. Let me find out the name of the horse that Francisco is riding, because he's such a go-to rider. Jesse's Dinero is the third part of that JJ Gonzalez, the third attack. And I think they're going to be tough to beat. They're all kind of situated on the outside. It's a great race. They're going to be in the 7, 8, and 10 holes in that race. So I'm going to try to study that race a little closer when I get the form. But they've all shined in the past. These are not newcomers. This is a 4-year-old and up stakes. And I saw a horse that JJ threw at us last weekend, and the horse paid 10-1, and I was just going, oh, what an opportunity, you know. But it was a horse that didn't look that great on paper. But again, you got to always remember what a trainer's impact. The trainer really has more impact than any other person in a horse's improvement. Jockey's important, of course, too, because he's aboard when they win or lose. But the trainer spends 30 days a month with the horse, giving him the care, giving him the training, and they can get that light bulb switched on more than anyone.
I want to look ahead just for a moment to next Thursday, and it's because as we deliver these track talks on Thursdays at 5, next Thursday is one of the rare times you have a pair of thoroughbred stakes races happening a week from today. The Corralito Steakhouse Stakes and the La Senora Stakes. These are a pair of $100,000 guaranteed races. And next Thursday is going to be a major thoroughbred stakes race day out at Sunland Park Racetrack.
I'm very ambitious and I think it's going to be very promising to have these thoroughbred stakes on the weekdays. What we saw last Friday when you came out, the kind of turnout we had for that,
yep,
you know, it is promising that this is going to work out. Certainly from a standpoint of having a nice, contiguous schedule, Thursdays through Fridays should work well. I would say that Corralito Steakhouse Stakes is going to probably belong to Todd Fincher. We'll have to see who he enters. He's doing so as we speak because they're taking entries 1 week away, and that'll be next Thursday. And then, if that's not enough, the La Senora is for the girls. So the Corralito Steakhouse is for the New Mexico bred 3-year-olds, boys. And then the La Senora Stakes is for the 3-year-old New Mexico bred girls. I'm encouraged to see what we get in that. Friday, the Bold Ego Handicap has consistently gotten a Steve Asmussen horse to come to town. So that could be really something else. That's a speed test at 5 1/2 furlongs. And then you really want to look forward. Our first and only live prep to the Sunland Derby will be the Raleigh Allison Derby. Wow, who knows what we're going to get for that. And then also on that Friday, because it's a 3-pack of stakes races, this is an awesome schedule, will be the Borderplex Stakes, which historically has been a live prep for the big girl race, the Sunland Park Oaks. So it's going to get really fast and furious for the thoroughbreds next week.
And we will talk a lot more about that right back here next week, an extensive preview on our Track Talk, which will be our January 18th edition. So it's going to be
I'll try to get you some nominees.
Excellent.
Nominees for those races close today, Steve. And the third part, you know, I was wrong. There's 4 stakes races in one day.
Wow.
The Fort Bliss Stakes probably will be a cozy return, maybe for Competitive Idea, because that's a race for open sprinters going 6 furlongs. I don't remember ever someone having 4 stakes races in one day so early in the season. So
that's terrific.
If you can get away from work, January 19th is a great day to do it.
Awesome. Eric, always appreciate the conversation.
Thank you, Steve.
We'll look forward to doing it again with you right back here next week.
You got it, sir. Thank you.